Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Now today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing AFL rivalries, but yeah, I haven't had many ideas lately, so I thought, I don't know what to do honestly, so I decided to do an AFL rivalries video, because I was looking through tier maker for some AFL tier makers, and I found this, and I thought that would be a perfect idea. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. But before we do, remember to like and subscribe, as we're nearly at 60. We're at 56 subscribers, so yeah, 4 away from 60. Big milestone, hitting 50 about a week ago. But yeah, let's just get straight into the video. And please note that there's not all rivalries in here, but most of the rivalries will be in here. And we've got 5 different tiers. We've got massive rivalry, intense, good rivalry, not much a rivalry, and boring. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Okay, first up we've got Collingwood and Carlton. Two big Victorian clubs. You just have to put them in massive rivalry. They bring in a 90,000 plus crowd at the G every single year, and yeah, they've just had a really bad hate for each other over the years. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in massive rivalry. Okay, next up we've got the Hawks and the Cats. I didn't even know that this was a rivalry, honestly, because yeah, I've never known this was a rivalry. So but because they're Victorian clubs and they're fairly big, I reckon I'll chuck them up in good rivalry, because they're fairly old clubs and they've had a lot of historic moments in the past. Okay, so next rivalry, 2 smaller Victorian clubs. Well, actually no, Essendon's kind of big, fairly big, but we've got North Melbourne and Essendon. I reckon we chuck this in good rivalry, because I've seen these games happen. There's been a lot of knocks to the head and stuff like that. There's a fair rivalries, but I'll put it below the Cats and the Hawks. Okay, next up we've got the Magpies and the Cats. Now this is a good rivalry. This is a really good rivalry. It's been going on for many years. In the preliminary in the semi-final, I think the Pies got knocked out. Oh no, it was in the qualifying. Yeah, they had 2 very close games last year, so yeah, and it'll continue to be close, so I'll chuck them up in intense. This will be an intense rivalry for me. Okay, next up we've got Eagles and the Bombers. Oh yeah, when it's at Optus, it attracts a massive crowd, so I'll chuck it up in good rivalry, just in front of the Cats and the Hawks. Okay, next up we've got Hawks and the Kangaroos. That's it. Yeah, Hawks and the Kangaroos. So I reckon we chuck this one probably up. Honestly, we'll chuck it. We'll chuck it at the. It's not really much of a rivalry, so yeah, I'll chuck it there. In my opinion, I don't really think it's that much of a rivalry, but yeah. Next up we've got Brisbane Lions and Power. This is a big rivalry, even though they're from 2 different states, Queensland and South Australia, but big rivalry here, big rivalry. So obviously with this one, I'm probably gonna put it at the top of good rivalry. Not intense, not quite intense. We'll see. Well, I might shift them around at the end. Okay, next up we've got Dockers and Eagles. Western Derby, massive. You got to chuck it up in intense. Massive rivalry, yeah, up in intense for me. So, but we'll chuck it behind the Cats and the Magpies, just because they are Victorian clubs and they're obviously a lot bigger, like crowds and stuff. So yeah. Next up, this is actually a big rivalry. How many years has it been since this rivalry started? This is a quite frequently new rivalry, actually. This was, I think, in 2015. This rivalry started. Western Bulldogs and GWS. Yeah, when it's at Marvel, it's an absolute atmosphere, I've heard. So you got to chuck that up in top of good rivalry, I reckon. It's a good game to stream or even watch, like at the stadium. It's just a really good game, all in all. It's always, the margin's always like a goal or under. Okay, now we've got the Queen Q Clash. We've got the Q Clash here. This is the Q Clash. So yeah, there's been a few rumours going around about the Q Clash apparently being the most violent game of AFL. Yeah, I don't believe that. Like, they do have a few knocks. They have a few knocks, trust. They do have a few knocks, because I remember Stephen May fully knocked out someone when he used to play for them. But yeah, it's a pretty big rivalry, the Q Clash, so we'll chuck them up. Yeah, I'll put it at the end of good rivalry. Oh, actually, no. We'll chuck it in between the Brisbane Lions and the Port Adelaide. Just there. I reckon just about there. That seems good for me. Okay, next up, we've got the Showdown. Obviously, big night for South Australia. It's a Showdown. 50,000 plus crowd at the Adelaide Oval. Massive scenes. It just goes back fair few years, the Showdown. It's just a great game to be there. The atmosphere is absolutely elite, so I think you just got to chuck it up in intense. I reckon just below West Coast and the Dockers. So yeah. Okay, next up we have got the Magpies and Essendon. Massive Anzac Day clash. Absolutely elite. It's an insane crowd. 95,000 at the G. You have to put it up in massive rivalry. You can't go past it. Honestly, so yeah, I reckon we'll chuck it just below Collingwood and the Carlton Blues. Okay, next up we've got Essendon and the Hawks. I didn't really know this was a rivalry, but I'll put it in front of the Hawks and the Kangaroos. Okay, Melbourne and the Pies. This is a fair good game. Whether it be at Marvel, Optus, MCG, wherever it is, it doesn't matter where it is. Like, because they're both Victorian, it may sound stupid, but like I'm just saying, like, maybe if they had to do it at Optus, it would still be a sold out crowd, because yeah, they're just two massive Victorian clubs, so you have to go put them up probably just about in between we'll chuck it at the end of intense, because it is a pretty intense feeling when you're at a game like that at the G. But yeah, Richmond and Collingwood. This is probably one of the better Victorian games to attend. Yeah, it's a good game. It's always a good game, whether it be wet weather footy, hot and sunny, fucking freezing, snowing. You just got to put it up in. You'll probably chuck it up just here at the top of intense. Okay, next up we've got first game of the season. Always, you just got to chuck this game up in massive rivalry. Not much to say about that one. Okay, now we've got the Essendon Bombers and the Richmond Tigers. Yeah, I reckon just chuck it probably up at just about maybe at the top of good rivalry, I reckon. Okay, I reckon I'll do a bit of reshuffling, because I want to put at least one or two in boring, but this one is going straight up at the end of intense, because they're two Victorian clubs, obviously. Okay, I'm going to do some reshuffling now. I reckon we chuck probably the North Melbourne and Essendon down there, because they don't really have that much of a rivalry, in my opinion. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Remember to like and subscribe, because we are on the road to 60 subs. Hope you enjoy, and cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.